this is a tract from a pregnant cow, probably about 60 days or so into the pregnancy, 60 days or so after fertilization. And you can see that one of the horns is quite a bit more swollen than the other. The fetus, I can palpate through the wall of the uterus and I can feel the fetus in here. It's about the size of a mouse, maybe 2.5, 3 inches long or so. And that's about what you'd expect around 60 days of gestation. When we look at the ovaries, what structure would you expect to be on the ovary in a pregnant animal? And hopefully they would say progesterone, coming from the structure of the corpus luteum. Okay, you need to have progesterone to support the pregnancy, and so there should be a corpus luteum on this ovary. Now, as the pregnancy progresses, tissue will build up over the corpus luteum, and so they're not always easy to feel or see, but if we cut through this ovary, you'll see it very clearly. Okay, see that big, healthy, yellow tissue that's actively secreting progesterone and supporting the pregnancy. And you would expect the corpus luteum to be on the same side as the fetus, because think about how that fetus formed. Okay, if it resides in this horn, then it must have been ovulated or must have been fertilized in this oviduct, which means it was ovulated from this ovary. So we're typically going to find the corpus luteum and the fetus on the same side. Okay? So let's look inside and see what the pregnancy looks like at this point. What I'm trying to do is just cut through the uterine wall, but not through the fetal membranes. And that can be a little bit tricky. So I have, like I said, just cut through the uterine wall to expose the outermost fetal membrane. That's called the chorioallantoic membrane. And everywhere where it made contact with a caruncle on the inside surface, it formed a cotyledon. And there is a cotyledon. Okay, right there. So that cotyledon has a bunch of finger-like projections on it that have embedded in that caruncle that was on the inside of the surface of the uterus. Okay? And so we're going to dislodge those connections, separate. I think you can see the finger-like projections being pulled away out of the caruncle there. Okay? So we'll go ahead and open this up some more and try and get this fetal membrane system out intact. that's one side, fairly well done. I'm just gonna have to. I know it's a little slow and tedious, but you gotta kind of approach it carefully if you want to get everything out intact.
Taking the bull by the horns.
Or the uterus by the horns.
Well, I'm hoping it is a
We'll see what kind of calf.
baby bull.
I haven't looked at it yet. I don't know.
It's taking the cow by the horns.
Yeah, I guess if you were gonna say that,
Yeah.
these are the only horns she's got. Well, that's not true either. They can. Most breeds of females will have horns too. Let's see. I'm gonna come up here and try and dislodge it as much as I can from this side too.
Oh, so that forms up on the other side as well?
Yeah, the fetal membranes will move and
Since
penetrate.
it's shared structure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Condo.
Yep. And I mean, it's shared to such an extent that when there are twins, the two fetal membrane systems will fuse at the tips, and you get transfer of blood from one fetus to the other. And that's why heifer calf born twin to a bull ends up being a free martin. She's an intersex and she won't breed because the male hormones in that developing bull fetus will masculinize her to a limited extent. She still appears externally like a female, but internally you prevent the reproductive tract from forming properly. So it's a pretty common thing when you have, the twins in cattle. Especially the when you have the two different sexes. 90% or more of the females are infertile. Okay. Very good. Very nice. So, all right. So, I think what you can see here now very clearly is how well developed those caruncles have become. And they've gotten much larger as the uterus is expanded and so on to accommodate the pregnancy. Yep. And then you can see all of the points where cotyledons formed on the inside surface or on the outer surface of the chorioallantoic membrane. That's about as nice as pictures as I've ever seen. Not to be bragging on myself, but Hugo, what do you think? That's a pretty good,
Yeah, they like
pretty
to
good
say the
set.
Irish one will be
Right. There's no bloodiness to the fluids, and yeah, yeah. So, so what you see here too, I think very nicely, is that there really are two sets of fetal membranes. The outer one is the chorioallantoic membrane that actually makes contact with the uterine surface. But you can see another membrane system, a second sac inside here. Can you see the margin on that? And then the margin there of this sort of a sac within a sac. Okay? That's the amnion, this membrane system, and so the fluid in there is amniotic fluid. And that's what the fetus is actually suspended in. So it's a very effective shock-absorbing kind of a mechanism to have an outer fluid-filled cavity, then like with another one inside it, and the fetus suspended inside that. Very, very effective protection for the fetus from any kind of shock. So I'm just going to open up. So there goes the amniotic fluid. And there's the fetus. It's actually a little bit bigger than I thought when I first palpated. I think we're probably more like on the 70 day or so range. And at this point, you should be able to tell what sex it is. And let's see if I can kind of get it to stay open. You guys, can you see that? All right. And so that is the scrotum right there. Testicles haven't descended into the scrotum yet, so it's not really very large. And then this is the penis. So we have a bull calf.